Well, good evening, everyone, and thanks for hosting me here today, and thanks, Jeff, for those very kind words. The history of many industries in South Africa has been largely monopolistic. There are several contributing factors, but much of that dynamic was driven by the unique political history of our nation, which effectively cut us off from outside competition for many years. But as the elections came in 1994 and as sanctions faded away, the walls that had sealed us off from the global economy began to fall. In other words, for the first time since the development of a truly global economy, the door to the rest of the world was open to South Africa. And yes, the door to South Africa was open to the rest of the world. It became clear to me that much of the learning we are doing revolves around 5 fundamental questions. The first question is, what is our fundamental orientation? This question is all about mindset. It's about how a company chooses to orientate itself when real competition first emerges. We have come to some strong conclusions within SAB that we must orientate ourselves for the future. We believe our mindset must be one of viewing the new challenge simply as a motivation to accelerate our progress in becoming the kind of company we need to become, the kind of company we must become to thrive in the 21st century South Africa. And the second question is trickier than it sounds. That question is, what is winning? Why do I say it's tricky? Because isn't winning or losing a fairly obvious concept in the world of business? Well, actually, when you think about it, it's not. Because in a situation like ours, where a long-time market leader is challenged by a new competitor, the possible definitions of winning are endless. At one extreme end of the continuum, there is a strategic school of thought that values the benefits of strong market leadership, and thus will make huge short or medium-term sacrifices to maintain a monopoly position. In reality, the net effect of that approach is that both competitors eventually become incapable of reinvesting in the business, and the sector either stagnates or contracts. At the other extreme on the continuum, there's a strategic school of thought that values margins above everything else, and thus will make permanent sacrifices of volume and market share to maintain historical levels of profitability. The problem with that extreme is that the loss of market share usually also means a loss of scale, which usually either translates into higher prices for consumers or forces the company to cut substantial jobs in resetting its cost structure. So how do we define winning at SAB? Well, our definition is based on a few core beliefs. First, we believe the South African marketplace offers plenty of profitable growth for all current players, assuming we all run our businesses well. Second, we believe that competition in itself should be a strong driver of growth in the sector, assuming the competitors are motivated to drive their own growth and not just to trounce the other guy. Our third question is, who decides? Specifically, who decides who wins, and yes, who loses? South Africa's new beer wars will be won or lost based on 3 things. Who can create superior demand for their brands with consumers? Who can deliver the superior economic value and service with retailers? And who can make the most meaningful contributions to society? We believe in marketing brands, not segments, because consumers buy brands, not segments. We know that we must generate genuine excitement with our mainstream brands by taking bold actions to make sure that each of those brands stands for something specific and relevant and is brought to life in ways that is truly interesting. The growth of our power brands is limited only by our ability to inject excitement into them. The second part of our new portfolio strategy is also requiring us to develop new capabilities. The good news is that we now have a diverse stable of super premium brands that allow us to execute a true portfolio strategy in the premium segment. Whether we are talking to the simplest small tavern owner, the largest, most sophisticated supermarket chain, or the hippest club of the moment, we are hugely focused on stepping up our ability to be a superior partner. Most of all, we view South Africa as sacred ground. For us, South Africa is not merely an attractive market in our global portfolio. It is home. It's where we come from. And deep down, it's who we are. And that leads me to our fourth question. What are our competitive principles? Competition law in South Africa has three major intentions. The first major intention of South African competition law is to protect consumers from unfair high price increases. The second major intention of the competition law is to promote economic development and empowerment. The third major intention of competition law is to foster choice in the marketplace. So that leads me to our fifth and final question. How much fun can we have? Now that might not seem like a serious business question, but it actually is. Because at SAB we know we must have fun, because beer must be fun. Fun-spirited competition rejuvenates the category. Mean-spirited competition only drags the category down, because nobody wants to buy mean-spirited beer. We truly believe that the South African marketplace is so loaded with opportunity that there really should be no losers in the new beer wars. And that conclusion is this. At SAB, we must become a model competitor in the 21st century South Africa. That is our aspiration. And to achieve that aspiration, we know we must fulfill four requirements. First, we must be progressive. We are talking about being the people who drive progress in our industry. The people who see the future and make it happen. The innovators and thought leaders who define the game and force our competitors into a constant state of scrambling to keep up. Second, we must be principled. Principled means that we must not only live up to both the letter and spirit of all relevant laws and regulations, but we must also compete with a clear understanding of what's in the best long-term interests of our brands and our relationships. Third, we must be capable. Now, in a business world where superlatives are pervasive, the word capable might not seem particularly ambitious. Capable means being capable of outperforming our competitor in every dimension of our business. Our fourth and final requirement is that we must be passionate. That's our aspiration, to become a model 21st century competitor. A model competitor that is progressive, principled, capable, and passionate. So I thank you for your extended attention today. In some ways, our view of what's required to compete in 21st century South Africa is unique to SAB. But I believe we share some common issues with virtually every company in South Africa and every company represented in this room here today. And so before I close, if there's one thought I could ask you to remember about SAB, it's this. Earlier I said that history is often unkind to those who seek to entrench the past. The other side of that wisdom is that history tends to favor those who use the challenges of today to accelerate their vision for the future. That's the choice we've made at SAB, because we believe the future will belong not to those who cling to the past, but to those who actively try to define the future.